All right, we're on YouTube. Have you subscribed to the JT the Brick YT? I greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. I always make sure I don't put any guests, and I only do 20 minutes here, so it doesn't infringe on copyrights. And we'll log off at the first break and watch the Illinois game. All right, boys, we're doing NBA All-Star Fallout, and we're doing T. Higgins and Four Nations. Out of the gate, JT from Vegas, man. 3 nights in a row. Here we go. All worked up, all ready to go. With Adam and Purnell with me, and we got a bunch of things to get to over the next 3 hours. I'm watching Wisconsin, Illinois, right here down the stretch. My wife graduated with her master's degree at Illinois, so we always have the Illini on in the house. The NBA doesn't come back until tomorrow, so we'll have the NBA tomorrow, Charlotte and the Lakers. And we'll dive into more of the NBA fallout with LeBron James and Four Nations hockey, which I'm going to lead with tonight, which is very rare. Go buy a lottery ticket, everybody, because there's not many of us left in sports talk radio who talk about hockey. The great Zig Fracassi can do it, and just a handful of other people, because hockey has become very intimidating for sports talk radio hosts, especially the youngsters coming up in their teens and 20s, because they just don't watch the sport. And now they put something beautiful on our platter, Four Nations instead of a lame NHL All-Star game that people are sick and tired of, just like the Pro Bowl in football and the NBA All-Star game that I'll get to. And they came up with something genius. Once again, congratulations to Gary Bettman. Congratulations for him and the Four Nations who decided to do this, because it's been fabulous and we got what we expected. Canada versus the United States of America tomorrow night in Boston, Thursday night in Boston, on what could be one of the greatest hockey games played in the modern era. Now, the most important hockey games played in the modern era are the Stanley Cup final every year. I'm in Vegas. We won a Stanley Cup. It was big here. Ovechkin beat Vegas to win a Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid is hunting down a Stanley Cup. When was the last time Toronto, where the Hockey Hall of Fame is, the hotbed of hockey, won a Stanley Cup? We're talking about the 60s, right? They can't win anything. So Canada is very pissed off at us here in America. They are really upset with us over politics. That's about it. They're not upset with us in sports. I think they're a little bit upset or more fatigued at the fact that we have teams from Florida and we have teams from Las Vegas winning the Stanley Cup instead of teams from Vancouver and Ottawa and Montreal and Toronto winning the Stanley Cup. I mean, they're supposed to win one of these every so often. They can't buy a Stanley Cup in Canada. So that would piss me off if I lived in Canada and I couldn't win the Stanley Cup and I saw a team in Florida win it. I'd be like, what the hell's going on, man? Well, why are they winning it in Florida and Las Vegas and we can't win in Toronto and Montreal? That'd be very frustrating. And the greatest hockey player in the world resides in Edmonton, and Connor McDavid, and he's not winning a Stanley Cup yet. So there is a level of frustration. But as I know from living my life and knowing from experience, Canadians are great people. I describe Canada the way I describe the people in our upper Midwest. Very nice people. You know, I'm from New York and we got Philly and Boston, and a lot of us are very rude and we're very brash and we're very annoying and we're loud. You don't find that in Canada. They're just really nice people. Really good allies and good people, but they are triggered right now. They're politically triggered, and they have the right to feel whatever way they want. So if you take all of the things that are happening with our Canadian brothers and sisters to the north, and you throw in a hockey game, it feels like us versus them, when it shouldn't. It should be like, you're our friends. We're your friends. We'll go play some hockey. It means a lot. But no, now there's some political discourse, if you want to Google that now, between Canada and the United States of America. And now we got something that seems to mean a little bit more. So the Four Nations comes at a perfect time. It comes at a perfect time because our other major sports here in the United States of America are screwing up at a level that is just insanity. Because we have these all-star games in the same time, the NBA all-star game and hockey. Hockey got it right with the Four Nations, and the NBA got it wrong with this garbage all-star weekend that they had in San Francisco. And there's definitely 2 or 3 days of fallout. Let me give you an example. One of the ways I prep for this show for a long time is Pardon the Interruption. PTI, it's the best sports show I think ever conceived. And now you got First Take with our buddy Stephen A. and other good shows. But the king, the granddaddy of them all, is PTI because it cuts to the chase. They give you the most important topics of the day in order, what they think are in order. And if you're doing what I do for a living and you're prepping a radio show, it's really good to pay attention to because you can find out what everybody else is talking about. So I like PTI. Well, I tuned in today, and I guess they were both ordered back in the studio. Even Kornheiser and Wilbon have been told, working from home in your attic, like we're kind of stopping that now. We're getting rid of people that aren't coming back for work in the real world. You got to come back in the studio. And they were both in the studio, and they had President's Day off. And their first 2 topics were Four Nation and the NBA All-Star Game. Exactly what I was going to lead with on this show without even watching that show. I think I'm pretty good at topic development. I was taught by one of the best on how to build a monologue. And I thought something was interesting. Mike Wilbon, when asked about the NBA All-Star Game, said that he's loved that weekend for 30 years. He said he loves it, one of his favorite things. And he was so disgusted by how bad it got, he didn't watch. He's got a young son, and he basically said he and his son watched the slam dunk contest as the young kid jumped over the car from the G League, Matt McClung, and that was exciting. But Mike Wilbon, who was on the set for ABC, ESPN, got a big paycheck from working NBA games, said he's checked out. He's done with it because it got to the point now, and I thought it was a brilliant line that Wilbon said, where why should the audience be interested if the players aren't interested? I said, man, that's why that guy's won a lot of awards and Emmy Awards and is a great writer. He said it perfectly. Why should we pay attention to sports if the participants don't give a crap? And that's something I'm going to steal going forward because I think it's a really important point. It was like a bolt of lightning hit me when I heard that. I make a living watching sports or going to sports and then talking about it on radio. That's all I do. I've been doing it for 30 years. And I like doing that. It's not very difficult, but you got to have strong opinions. You can't watch a sporting event and then read the box score and say, coming up next, I'll read the box score again. You got to have strong opinions when it comes to sports. And this week has given us, now that we're gone a week plus from the Super Bowl, 2 really amazing sports radio topics, really good with some teeth that we can bite into on why is hockey taking advantage of the void of the NFL 1 week out of the Super Bowl and doing it right? And how has the NBA failed so miserably? I find that to be some really good topics. You can include the hockey fans who never feel wanted, never feel included. They're kind of like the stepson of sports radio. Everybody loves hockey who goes to the games, but no one seems to talk to hockey fans on the radio unless you subscribe to Sirius XM and you get the NHL radio channel. It's the same thing with NASCAR. We just had the Daytona 500. I was here last night for 3 hours. I didn't get one call. So we're gone. If we can't get calls or we can't get people to interact on the great American race, it's really tough to keep people in the room on that topic. Same thing with tennis. Tennis is great. Doggy talks about it. I grew up with it at the U.S. Open. It's unbelievable. Djokovic, the Joker. Novak Djokovic playing in a final, right, and playing, or when Federer was there. You maybe get a couple people around Wimbledon in the U.S. Open, and then they disappear. And hockey's been on the verge of being a sport that can no longer last when it comes to the spoken media, television and radio. It just doesn't have enough legs. Not enough people watch it. And they came up with something great with the Four Nations, and we'll see how you react to it. I'm inviting you to talk about this topic. I'm not going to be on tomorrow night and Thursday night. Fine by me. Thursday night, I'm going with a bunch of my buddies, a bunch of my drinking buddies who like to have cervezas, and we got a booth in Vegas, and we're going to a nice joint here in Vegas, and we are going to be all ready for this hockey game, 5 o'clock Pacific time. I can't wait because I need something in my life other than my wife and kids and everything else that I have that can kind of get me excited about sports. It's not going to be the Lakers versus Charlotte. Can you believe that garbage? The first game they're going to come back with is the Lakers in Charlotte. LeBron James didn't even want to play in the All-Star game. He didn't even want to put his uniform on. We'll talk about that with Kurt Heelan. That basketball talk at the bottom of the hour. Also, Scott Kaplan will join us from Los Angeles, the Big Stick, ESPN radio in LA, on the fallout of LeBron James. So for you hockey fans, no doubt about it, you're welcome to call me tonight. 888-623-3646. I actually challenge callers because I was a caller. I challenge people to just wake up and have an opinion. This is your moment if you're a hockey fan. It really is your moment. So do something with it. Twitter at JTTheBrick or 888-MAD-DOG6. Let's see what you got tonight. I know my Canadian brothers to the north. I got a bad feeling about the game. I don't gamble, but I got a bad feeling about the game. I think it's hard for the USA to beat Canada twice in a couple of days. I really do. We kicked their ass like a Leonard Skinner song. We kicked their ass. We threw punches. We went into their building. They booed our anthem, which I didn't like at all. We kicked their ass. They're going to want to kick our ass in Boston. As I said, I hope no one in Boston boos the anthem of Canada. I think that'd be trash. Same thing I said to the Canadians. If you're an American, if you're a Mexican, if you're a Canadian, you boo the anthem, you're trash. Period. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're trash human being if you boo an anthem. And some will do it. Some will have a couple beers and do that. I wouldn't do it. But that's going to be a storyline on Thursday night with the Four Nations. I don't want to say I have a bad feeling about it because I don't. But I wouldn't be surprised if Canada won. I'll be rooting heavy for the United States of America. I'm going to get out of my seat and jump out of my seat when they score. But I don't have a good feeling about it because I think Canada got a wake-up call when we beat them. And I think Canada's going to wake up really coming in flying. And the Americans got a couple of guys who are down to injuries will play, but they're not at 100%. So I wanted to get that in here as we open up the show and hear what you think about the Four Nations. And if the best way to cover this story, Four Nations hockey, really is bashing the NBA because it's not entertaining to say, hey, JT, I'm going to watch the hockey game like you on Thursday night. I hope we win. I'm out. No, the way to cover the story is the proper way. Hockey is kicking the NBA's ass over All-Star Weekend, and I find that very interesting. I think that is a big storyline, so we'll jump into that in a little bit. So the two sound bites that are going really wild and viral, Draymond Green and Oscar Robertson. Draymond Green, courtesy of TNT, just lit a fire under the NBA. I believe he should win an Emmy Award for this. I think this is one of the most important segments. I think Draymond Green knocked it out of the park because he's a current player. He predicted a championship. He barbecued the NBA All-Star game in front of the building that pays him millions of dollars. And he did it on TNT, where he started his broadcast career. This is the viral soundbite being heard around the world.
You work all year to be an all-star, and you get to play up to 40, and then you're done. This is so unfair to Victor Wembanyama, who just took this game really seriously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just took this game really seriously. When you talk about chasing after the points records, Melo, Kobe, and all these guys who had great scoring nights, they don't get the opportunity to do that with this game. Also, we can watch some rising stars. We're about to watch the Olympic team. Now we get the treat of watching the Olympic team play against a U19 team. Come on, what are we doing? This is ridiculous.
Kenny's team is done, by the way. Chuck won. Kenny's team was
vice versa, yes.
Yeah, so SGA still in it, Victor in it. But you're talking about the scoring records that we've heard. Tatum leading all scores, 55 a few years ago. It's harder to catch now.
They can't do that. They don't get to etch their name in the history books. It's the reason you get an all-star, Kobe Bryant all-star MVP award.
Scale of 1 to 10, your thoughts of the format?
10 being the best?
Yes.
A 0. Sucks. Say basketball.
Wow, Draymond dropped a bomb. He said a 0 and it sucked. That takes a lot. If you're a broadcaster, you got a lot of debaters out there. Stephen A. is really good at the debate format, the best that ever was. And if you're going to get paid to have a microphone, you got to say things that are really passionate. And he wasn't fake about that. He really believed that. So then Oscar Robertson, maybe the greatest player of all time at the guard position, he's right up there. at the point guard, 2 guard position with Michael Jordan. He went on NBA radio here with our friends on NBA radio from the All-Star game, and he didn't care for what Draymond had to say.
Who cares what Draymond says? It doesn't mean anything. People, this is what I mean. One guy can say this, and one guy can say that. The game is what it is. People either like the game or they don't, and I think people enjoy the game, especially if their team can win.
Yeah, so Oscar came back and defended the NBA because also Oscar's still on the payroll of the NBA. I believe at some capacity he gets paid for free to go to the All-Star game, gets a gorgeous hotel room and food, and gets to go to all the events like he should. He's royalty. So that's what's the biggest 2 stories in sports tonight. It's not a college football game. It's not. NBA free agency is coming. The franchise tag window opened today. T. Higgins, Sam Darnold, that's pretty big. And I'm going to get to that on the show, as you know. But I wanted to open up on hockey versus the NBA. Isn't that a great topic if you do it right? Hockey versus the NBA. If you go into a sports bar, you park your car, you take an Uber. Take an Uber. Don't drive to a sports bar if you're going to have a couple pops. And you walk in and you sit at the bar, and there's a bunch of your buddies there. You're going to talk about 2 big things. You're going to probably talk about NFL if there's something hot happening. But you're going to get into 4 nations hockey in the NBA. And I believe for the first time in my life, for the first time that I can recall since the birth of my sons who are 23 and 21, it might be one of the only times I can recall where everybody lined up at the sports bar, including the bartender, the hot one, and the guy who's been working there 10 years, are all telling you that they don't like the NBA for the first time in my life. That's not me exaggerating. It's kind of telling the truth. I don't think there's anybody sitting at the bar at Buffalo Wild Wings or at the casino going, man, come on over, sit down with me, man. I want to talk about the NBA. Let's get into it. I don't think it's happening now. And I think the NBA has not hit rock bottom because they have massive television deals and streaming deals, and TNT goes to NBC and all that. They're making a lot of money. The arenas, a lot of them are sold out. But I think the common fan who really makes my career and has supported me throughout my career is so sick and tired of the NBA that the hockey fan who's at the sports bar is going, come down here, let's talk hockey for 10 minutes. What do you think of the 4 nations? And the guy's going, yeah, I'll buy you a Labatt's Blue. No, you buy me a Moosehead. No, you buy me a Molson. No, get me a Modelo. Let's go. I want to talk hockey. The NBA is at a tipping point. The players are not likable. They're not playing hard at the All-Star game. The league is scared of entertaining you, so they're giving you stupid entertainment, dressing up Charles Barkley in a hat and a fishing rod when the game should be played, letting Kevin Hart talk to the players while they're dribbling the basketball. That cannot be allowed. It cannot be allowed. It has to stop. I never want to see that again. Can you imagine them stopping the Canada-USA hockey game with 10 minutes to go in the second period and a comedian comes on the ice? A comedian comes on the ice and does about 5 minutes of stand-up as Sidney Crosby's waiting there and Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel, and they're going, what's going on here? Oh, wait, the stand-up comedian's going to finish in 3 minutes, and then you guys can go play hockey again. It's exactly what happened in San Francisco. Debauchery. It was gross. Mike Wilbon, who loves the NBA, has checked out on the NBA, and he makes a big living talking NBA. So that's where I stand tonight on this. It's a big topic. I'm going to stay with it. I think it's important tonight. We'll give you all the scores and updates, but it's hockey versus the NBA tonight. Who do you got? It's a heavyweight fight. You got to pick one side, hockey or the NBA. And maybe some NBA fans will sound off like you got a pair, and they'll jump in and have something cool to say. My job is to find out what's happening in sports, dissect it, and bring it to you and give you my opinion about it. Over the last few nights, you got my opinion on hockey, which nailed it and is kicking ass and everything looks perfect with the Four Nations going into Thursday night in Boston. And the NBA has failed us all. That's my opinion. That's what I think, and I got a strong opinion on multiple sports. That's the monologue. If you want to follow me throughout the week, when you want to hear me on the radio and wonder where I am, just subscribe to YouTube, JT the Brick YT. Become a bricklayer. We'll get you in there, and I'll do this. I'll do about 20 or 30 minutes a night, and you'll be all up to speed before the producers in the mornings have to write the other radio shows. When we come back, we'll get into it with Kurt Heelan, one of the best basketball insiders. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour on the fallout of the NBA All-Star game and how LeBron James is going to come out of this. Is this the last season of LeBron James? Is basically the signing of Luka Doncic by Jeannie Buss a message to LeBron to play hard, take us to the playoffs, but pack your bags right after because we're moving on from LeBron James and we're going to Luka Doncic. We'll dive into that coming up next. JT from Vegas. This is Mad Dog Sports Radio. All right. You guys will be right there. How was that, man? That's it. That's what we do. Now I'm property of Mad Dog Sports Radio. I have to go. And you got to listen on the satellite because that's how you can hear the guests and the callers. Can't do that here from home. But the brick backdrop, man. The brick backdrop. Let me give you a little behind the scenes of that. My wife put together the big brick backdrop. We got that going. Thanks a lot, everybody. And yeah, I do take pot shots at hosts that don't talk hockey. I do. Yeah, and put me in jail for that. I talk shit about radio hosts that mail it in and should make a lot less money than me because I'm better than them. Yeah, that's kind of what I do in a veiled way. So I'll leave you with that. Everybody have a good night. Thanks a lot for watching the must-listen-to monologue.